Well, hello and welcome to the Sacred Pathway Academy podcast with me, Allison Rozelle. And I am here today. We're going to be talking about imposter syndrome, and I'm going to be speaking with this gorgeous goddess who I have gotten to know over, I don't remember when exactly we connected. Um, but we did connect, and I just really love the work that she's doing. I've enjoyed watching her growth and her evolution. So I'm going to bring her on. Her name is Charmaine. Let me see. Just a second. This is very exciting for me. I've never done this before. Hey!
Let me see if I tilt it up a little so you can see my head. Can you see me?
I can. How are you?
Good. All right.
Good. I see you're
Okay.
green.
This is one of my favorite colors, but I
Yeah.
don't wear it often enough.
Yeah. All the heart chakra energy that you're giving.
Yes. Let me see. I feel like I can't hear you.
Okay. Let
All
me
right.
turn my volume up too.
No, it was mine. Mine
Okay.
was, yeah. I'm sorry.
Awesome.
Hi,
Hi. We are ready because we are live. We are here. Yay.
Allison.
Oh, so welcome to the Sacred Pathway Academy podcast, Miss Charmaine. I am so excited for our conversation that we're going to have today because you talk about a particular subject that I think is very important for
Mhm,
us as for women of color and especially Black women to really start paying attention to and
mhm,
understanding what it is and what
mhm,
it means. So before we jump into that juicy conversation, tell
mhm.
us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, my name is Charmaine Walker, all right, and I have been working with women since 2015 after I got certified as a yoga teacher trainer, right? Specifically with women and Black women, right? All in the hopes of helping to relieve stress, right? Because stress is the number one killer of us, or it exacerbates all the diseases that, as Black women, we seem to be more susceptible to. So my intention is always to help us reduce stress, give us ways to manage stress, so it doesn't affect us as adversely as it's been affecting us, so that we can become, better moms, daughters, wives, sisters, aunties, just better within our community and help our community better, right? So with that, I've also do meditation and mindfulness training. All of this comes into reducing stress, right? And learning how to manage your states and manage your moods, right? Regulate yourself. And for the most part, is relatively inexpensive, if not free. So I've tried to make it available to as many people as possible. um, During that process, I deal with my own stuff. It's helped me so much dealing with my own luggage, right? Right, suitcases,
Yeah.
right? I've been able to, unpack them throughout the years, right? But there was still just, a couple of things that just seemed like I wasn't able to get to. And I just happened to was listening to a podcast about the woman who created Poopery, the spray that you put in, and she was talking about how she sees a hypnotherapist. So from there, I went on and I found myself a hypnotherapist, had wonderful results. I mean, even after one session, it like really healed one of the most important relationships in my life. So it made it so much better. And then, after several sessions, there's so many other things clicked, and it just seemed like it went, the change was much faster.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
almost immediate. All right. So of course, now knowing me, if you know me, I would have to learn more about this. Right. So I did some research, found out some more, and then I end up getting certified
Mm-hmm.
as a clinical hypnotherapist. And since then, I've been combining hypnotherapy with meditation, mindfulness, right, and yoga to help women. I work with really high performing women who really want to start a business or who do have a business, but they're dealing with imposter syndrome and anxiety, which is making them have tons of self-doubt, making them feel like a fraud and a failure, right? To increase their confidence, they could grow this business, right? So that's who I'm working with now, who, my target, I guess, audience is now. But hypnotherapy can be used for anything and everything.
That's awesome. Well, let's just jump right on into this thing. So, what is imposter syndrome?
So imposter syndrome is when no matter how much you've accomplished, how many accolades you might have, you still feel like a fraud. You're worried that you're going to get found out. And for women in particular, when we accomplish anything, whether it was a business or it was a degree or whatever, it happens to be a promotion, we accredit it to something outside of ourselves. It must have been luck, right?
Yeah.
Or it must have been they didn't know what they were doing, or they just want to be nice to me, and that's why I got, the raise or the degree or whatever it is that I received, right? But when something goes bad, right, then that is all our fault as the woman. That's all my fault. I didn't do something right. I am a failure is basically what it comes down to. So all of that is internal. So the failure part is internal, right? The accolades are external and just given up to luck. So when you have achieved anything, right, and it's recognized by others because they're probably telling you this, right? So whether it's an award or not, maybe it's something else, and someone's actually telling you, oh, you always do this. You're so good at this. Oh, wow. But yet you're like, oh, it was just luck, or oh, it's easy. Anybody can do this, when no, not anybody can do it. You did it and you did it well, right? But you're not able to accept that because you're afraid that they're going to find out that it was some kind of fluke and you're really a fraud.
Yeah. That's so interesting because as you're speaking about that, I can see that in myself, that I had huge problems with imposter syndrome when I first started out, because I was like, okay, so I think I know what I'm doing. And it was like, I know I knew what I was doing, but it was just so much self-doubt, so much of me, because my go-to was always to put myself down, was to always, like beat myself up over things because I wasn't perfect or I didn't do it perfectly or whatever. And that really is where I feel a lot of that imposter syndrome comes from, is that illusion of perfection. Yes. But then at the same time, when someone is bringing it to your attention that you're great and you're doing great, you then go to like the other end of the spectrum and like, well, no, I'm not. But, I guess, it's such an interesting thing about imposter syndrome, of how it can flip the script on you like that. Don't you think?
And I mean, and imposter syndrome, I mean, there's different ways that it kind of manifests in different people's lives. Perfectionism is one of them, where you feel like if it's not 100% perfect, then you failed, right? Yeah. And really, there's nothing that's going to be 100% perfect, right? So, so we have to get rid of that kind of belief that it has to be, right? And imposter syndrome can also either have you become the workaholic, like you're working hard to always try to prove yourself, right? Yes. And you overdo it, right?
Yes.
And, and you probably know when you've done it till it's good enough and even better than good enough, but then you go beyond because, oh my gosh, I don't want them to find out that I failed, or I don't want to mess this up. I can't mess this up because, then I'll be a failure. They're going to think about me this way. The same people that are praising you. Now you're worried about that. Right. Or it can lead to you doing nothing, right? I don't want to shine because if I shine, that means I'm going to have to do it again and again and again. And I don't know if I can do it again, right? So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna stay right here
Mm-hmm.
where things easier and more comfortable. Of course, now you're not using your gifts at all, right? Like what the world needs from you is not coming. What you need from you isn't coming out.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And something that was coming through when you were talking about that is, especially when I think about us as Black women, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times what we're taught is, okay, so whatever it is that you're learning, you have to be 10 times better than everybody else because you are a Black woman.
Yes.
So I think a lot of times, when we're brought up in that way, that kind of aids and abets the
Mm-hmm.
road to imposter syndrome.
Definitely, definitely. Like you say, we're taught that, you have to do twice as much just to get the same thing. We're taught that we don't even deserve to be in the room, much less sitting at the table, you know, so we're brought up with all these limitations that you may not even understand that you have or perceive that you have, right? But they've stopped you every step of the way. So you haven't gone after that promotion because, hey, I don't belong at the table. And you may not be saying this to yourself consciously, right? And this is the other thing. With imposter syndrome, the people who have imposter syndrome are high achieving people. So they have achieved a lot. They can set a goal and they can reach it. It's just that when they reach the goal, they think they're not deserving of it.
Mm.
So it's very difficult for people outside kind of be like, what are you talking about? Of course
Right.
you can become CEO of that company because X, Y, and Z. You've done all of this kind of work. Why would you not?
Right.
But you don't believe that of yourself. And as women, we've been taught, and as Black women too, especially, we've been taught that we're not supposed to even have those kinds of dreams and goals, much less achieve it. You
Yeah.
know, and telling someone else the other day, it is like women, men are taught think like if they're going after the job, right, a new job, if they know one out of all the 10 criteria, they're like, okay, I got
Right.
it. Then we can have 9 out of the 10 criteria, and we're like, oh no, we're not going to apply because we don't have it.
Yeah.
And it's just the way that society has brought us up.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to go, and in order to get over it, to move on, to really flourish and really shine, we have to get over that. We have to change that old belief of
Yeah.
us not being good enough.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that actually reminds me of a story that my mentor was telling us about during one of our sessions. And she was saying, she had, I forgot who this man was, but he was talking to her and he was like, it was like women can have like some of the best ideas, right? And they'll come into the boardroom and they're presenting their whatever their idea
Mm-hmm.
is or whatever. He was like, but they don't own it. Like they don't come in like, I got this. This is my room. This is what I'm doing. He was like, you all talk yourselves out of it before
Yep.
you've even gotten in there.
Yes. Yep.
And I'm like, wow.
Yep.
That is
And, and
so true.
and that has happened to so many of us. And it's not just us talking ourselves out of it. Yes, we're
Mm-hmm.
responsible for ourselves, right? But we have been taught and indoctrinated, throughout, our years of growing up, that we're not supposed to be there, or you're not,
Right.
good girls don't talk loud. They're not assertive. Oh, you're being assertive. Oh, now you're bossy. You're a bitch.
Yeah.
No, I want you to get the work done. That's it. Like,
Yeah.
if Mr. Man asked you, you'd have been like, yes, sir. Right? But I asked you, and
Right.
it's a whole different thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not taught, even amongst women to women, we're not really taught to respect each other while we're working with each other. So I think that yes, it's something that we know we can take responsibility for, we take ownership for. but it is definitely something that has been ingrained in us throughout our years of growing up.
Absolutely. It definitely has.
Mhm.
So I want to switch gears for just a moment because you brought up hypnotherapy. And I've been seeing a lot about it. Haven't read up on it yet. This is one of my things that I want to read up on. But can you talk a little bit about what that is? Because, you know, when people think of hypno or hypnosis, they think
Yeah.
about Hollywood telling you that somebody's got a coin in front of you
Yeah.
and they're going to make you, you know,
You know, watch.
like bark like a dog and do all this crazy stuff.
So I'll say yes, that is true. So people believe what we see from Hollywood, right? So I mean, part of what I have to do is combat those stereotypes, right? If so, hypnotherapy is putting you in a relaxed trance state where you really have a heightened awareness, right, and heightened focus, right? And at that point, then you can make suggestions to your subconscious. So what they do in the Hollywood stuff, if you ever notice, they ask for a ton of volunteers and they weed them out, right? Because you want the person who's more susceptible, who's more willing to follow your instructions. So, i.e., you will not bark like a dog unless you want to bark like a dog, right? You know, so, and they weed them out to find that person who will be willing to bark like a dog, right? So with hypnotherapy, when you're under hypnosis, you are in complete control. You are aware of what's going on around you. You hear the sounds. Yes, your eyes may be closed, and sometimes they could be open, but they may be closed, but you're hearing all the sounds around you, right? There's nothing that the hypnotist can, a therapist can do or suggest to you unless it's something that you've already wanted to do. So I cannot make you bark like a dog unless at some point in your life you wanted to bark like a dog, right? I also am not able to keep you in trance, you know, in that state, right? That hypnosis, you know, for the rest of your life. So you're gonna stay there, and I'm having puppet strings or something, you know, for the rest of your life, right? Once it's over, it's over. And really, at any point, the client, if they're like, yo, I don't want to do this anymore, you can get yourself out. It's like, I don't want to do this anymore, I'm done, right? I, as the hypnotist and the hypnotherapist, is just there to help keep you safe, right? To help guide you towards your subconscious, because really what I'm doing is working with your subconscious, with you and your subconscious, to get the answers that we need to get so that we can get rid of this problem and reprogram something new. Because what our subconscious is doing, right, with all these things that's preventing us from doing, is really trying to keep us safe, right? So somebody said, oh, girls are not supposed to be talking in the boardroom. So you go in the boardroom and you don't talk because you remembered. And maybe there was something else that happened that made that real for you. Somebody spoke in the boardroom and they, you know, they got yelled at or something. It might not even been the boardroom. It might have been in school, right? Little girls are not supposed to raise their hand, right? They're not supposed to know math. They're not supposed to know science. They're not supposed to know anything, right? And you raise your hand and you got the answer right, and then everybody got mad at you, right? Or all the boys got mad at you because you got the answer right. So, so that now prevents you from now raising your hand again in the future, and you don't even realize it, you know, because you're still accomplishing all of these great things, but you're not going to the level that you can go to, that you're supposed to go to, if you did not have that in the back of your head. So your subconscious is trying to keep you safe by saying, don't raise your hand, Charmaine. Remember what happened? Don't raise your hand. I mean, it might have been second grade, but hey, don't raise your hand. It might have been college, but hey, don't raise your hand. You know, and you're a grown person, you're still not really raising your hand, unless maybe you're 100% sure. And how often is that? And even if you do, you're not raising it really high. You know, like, oh, maybe, you know, instead of just really, you know, going for it. So I work with my clients to get to their subconscious using hypnotherapy. All right, so we get to the subconscious, we communicate with the subconscious, and we get the answer, we get to read what it was that started this whole thing of us thinking we can't raise our hand, right?
Right.
And then also reprogramming our subconscious to be like, it's okay to raise your hand. You know, it's even okay to be wrong sometimes. You know,
Yeah.
you'll be fine. You know, you are enough. You know, you can do this. And to get it into our subconscious, because our subconscious is what rules our everyday life.
True.
You know,
True.
all the things we don't think about. So we're not thinking about, oh yeah, in second grade I rose my hand and everybody got married. You're not thinking about that anymore. But that's still affecting you, right? So we want to get that out and then put something else back in there that's going to give you the life that you want to live now on a subconscious level. So you're not thinking about it. So yeah, I have a good thought. Oh, yeah, you know, maybe we should do this and this, that, without thinking and second guessing yourself anymore. And this way, you'll be able to, you know, live the life that you want, as we should. Why not? It's about time.
Yes. Hallelujah. It is. There's no time like right now for the right time. It is the right time.
Exactly.
Yes. Yes.
You know,
I love that. I do, because it just seems like it's really taking things, because a lot of us do have a lot of inner child stuff, you know, from when we were children, you know, because I know me, this is something that I talk about a lot, is when I was in, I think it was the first grade or something, I was told that I talk too much, and that, you know, I don't need to talk so much. And I'm like, but I got stuff to say. And I was a talker, but you know, that teacher saying this to me as a child made me feel like my voice doesn't matter.
Yep.
So, you know, that's something that it took me some years to kind of realize what that did and how that impacted me. There's like, oh, so that's why I felt like my voice really didn't matter, you know? So that's beautiful work. I love that you're doing that, because so many women need that, you know, because you're right. As women, we're conditioned in so many different ways. It's just like with like men are conditioned and taught a lot of times. They're not really taught about like housework and stuff like that. That's the woman that's supposed to know this. So then meanwhile, you have this lazy man that ain't picking up nothing. He ain't cleaning up nothing. He ain't cooking nothing, you know, but he expects his woman to be that way. And those whole like roles and stuff, I mean, I get it, but at the same time, sometimes that's a little, it doesn't really help, because it doesn't really speak to who that person is going to grow up to be later. Because, I mean, he may not marry nobody. And then what? He going to be hungry all the time because, you know, didn't learn how to cook?
Well, let me say,
be filthy.
let me say, before in case mine ends up watching this, mine does cook. He does clean. He does take care of kids sometimes. So just in case he says that, he watches this. But yes, but we are like, as in general, you know, we're conditioned to gender roles, right? And
that's what I was trying to get at, is the roles that that are put on us. And then so women are supposed to be, we're supposed to be submissive. We're supposed to not speak our minds. We're supposed to not have great ideas. We're supposed to just be sometimes a prop for whomever and whatever, you know. And I'm glad that a lot of women like yourself are stepping forth and saying, hey, I want to help women find their voice. I want to help you reclaim that part of yourself. So I think what you're doing is beautiful work.
Thank you. And I am really trying to, while I work with women who are thinking about starting a business or already have a business and they're trying to grow it, because I'm really into economic empowerment, right? Especially for women. So that's why I kind of targeted that population as well. Because from there, you know, once you're able to stand on your feet economically, you'll be able to help others and help the community also stand up, you know, economically. We have to still get past all of these limiting beliefs that we have, right? That may be general things that were said, or it may be, you know, something specific that happened to you, like them saying that you talk too much, you know, and those are things that, you know, and that's your gift, right? Now you're talking, right? You have a podcast. That's your gift, right? You know, so we have to get past of all these limiting beliefs. And really what I found is that hypnotherapy helps us to get there quickly. Right? And, meditation and mindfulness and yoga, it also helps to get us there, but it may take a little bit longer. But if you combine hypnotherapy with meditation and yoga and mindfulness, it's like, oh, you know, you know, and that's what I do when I work with clients, is to combine them, because I want a holistic kind of healing. I want an economic healing, right? For themselves and for their families and for the community, right? Because I know it's all going to end up rippling out to everybody else, you know.
Absolutely. Yes. I love it, my sister. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, do you have anything currently that you're offering that you want to tell us about?
Yeah, I do have a high achiever, self-confidence coaching program that I'm offering now. If you're interested in finding out about how to get rid of some of your limiting beliefs, especially imposter syndrome and anxiety, you know, then you could go to my page on Instagram, which is look.feel.do. All right. And you can find a link there, and we can set up a time for us to talk. Love to talk to you, let you know what I'm doing, see if you have imposter syndrome or not, right? And then see if we can work together or not, if it works out for both of us. And you can also find me on Facebook. It's under Charmaine Walker, right? So if you just look for the one that looks like me. All right.
That's so funny.
There are several of us in the world of Facebook, and also you'll find information there, you know. But I'll be happy to speak to anybody to help them, you know, get over their limiting beliefs and make this money, right? So we can have
the bag.
Yeah, we can have this freedom that we deserve. You know, we've been suffering way too long. There's no need for us to suffer. There are ways and modalities out there that can help us. And I just believe that hypnotherapy combined with mindfulness specifically is one of the ways to get us out of suffering.
Yes,
you know,
absolutely.
To get to what, and the thing with hypnotherapy, when you work with someone one-on-one, it's specific to you. So yes, there's general things, right? And you can go on YouTube, and there's lots of hypnosis recordings on YouTube, and you can go on there and use those. Those are great, but those also take longer because they're not specific to you. They're not speaking your language. It's not getting to your problem or your issue that you had. So that's the benefit, and why it also works fast when you work with a therapist, a hypnotherapist.
Yeah, that makes sense, because I mean, how else would I be able to get over being told that I talk too much?
Right.
If I'm looking at something general that's not really helping me. So that's beautiful that you brought that up.
And they can help. It's just that it might take longer.
Right.
Can't help. You know.
Yeah.
So I want everybody to be as healed as possible.
Hey, we are on this healing journey. That's really, I think, a big part of just life. It's just healing. And you know, that's how come, you know, I know you do too, how we're striving to do this work to help people undo generational trauma, generational things that have been passed on, you know, generation by generation by generation. I actually just posted something in my stories, and I know I'm going to misquote it, but you'll get what I'm saying. It says, it's funny how my parents were traumatized, raised by their traumatized parents, who were raised by their traumatized parents. And this cycle continues until someone says it stops here.
It stops here.
Yeah.
It stops here. Yeah.
And the great thing is, it's not our responsibility to heal all of the traumas. If we can start with even one.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you could just have it, if you could change, you know, one thought from, oh, I'm too much of this, I'm too little of that, whatever it is. I talk too much, I'm to the, you know, change it to I am enough.
Yes.
Like I'm enough. Like you would go out in the world in a completely different way.
Yeah.
Right? Versus holding back something or being angry about something. So now you're lashing out, you know. But if you really believed in your heart of hearts, in your mind, right? The everyday functioning of your mind, your subconscious, that you are enough, we would show up completely differently.
Yes.
Completely different.
Completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, what a world that would be, right?
Like utopia or something. One day.
Oh my gosh. Well, Charmaine, I appreciate you coming on here and talking to us about imposter syndrome and hypnotherapy. I learned a lot. So now I'm like, they better click on your links and hit you up, because I'm going to put all of her information for those who are watching this on YouTube or listening to this on the podcast. All of her information is going to be in the show notes, so you can hit her up if you have more questions. She would love to talk to you, I'm sure, about this, because this is her passion. And I know that she is a very gifted goddess, and this is her work. This is her lane.
Thank you so much, Allison. Feel so blessed to be here and honored to be here. I'm so glad you had me. We've been talking about
a long time coming.
Yeah.
But we made it here, and this won't be the last time. This won't be the last time.
Good. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you all. Have a wonderful day. This has been the Sacred Pathway Academy podcast. So I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day. And I appreciate you. And I will talk to everyone real soon. Bye, y'all.
Bye.